Hi and welcome. So we have our terrain information right now, and let's say that we want to extract information from this. For instance, I'd like to get a general sense of what the elevation is as I run across this surface like this. So that let's assume that I want to recreate this surface using a much larger scale and using 2x4s, for instance, kind of like what Maya Lin did right here. So she has a surface. She might start off with a surface and then sort of work backwards and say, okay, well, the ground is going to be my sort of datum or my reference plane, and then I want to measure from that plane up to up to the surface throughout a grid type area. Okay, so what we're really looking at is dimensions at this point, and that's what we want to collect from what we have right here. So the first thing we're going to do is go into our top view and maximize that. And you want to make sure that you're in a shaded mode. So make sure that shaded is selected here. And then what we're going to do is take a dimension. We want to see what dimension this is at right now. So I'm going to start the dimension by left clicking up here where it says linear dimension. Just left click and it asks us for a first dimension point. Well, this could be anywhere in the scene. It doesn't have to be on the model. It will be, but just to show you, with a first left click, I drop that first point, and with my second left click, I now have told it from where and to where I want to create this dimension. And it gives me a preview which allows me to drag it so that it's not in the way. And then with the third left click, I end that command. I'm out of that command now. Okay, so for what we want to do, we want to make sure that we're actually measuring from the end of this box. And so you want to make sure that end is selected at the very bottom here, and just make sure everything else is deselected. If you don't see this toolbar at the very bottom, just hit your O snap. Just left click on O snap down here, and this will pop up. So with end selected, as I get close to the end, it's sensing that that's where it is, and it's giving me a preview. It's saying end. It's a little pop-up. That's an object snap. So if I left click right now, I'm actually snapping to the end. And as I move across to this other side, I see the other snap appear. So I left click again, and that gives me my dimension. And now as I pull up a little bit to get it out of the way, I left click a third time, and I'm done with that command, and I've got my dimension. So we're going to go ahead and redo that now for this bottom side as well, just to get an idea of what we're looking at. So we have a 3 by 3 inch area. Now let's say that we want to make this actually of a known dimension. Let's say that we want to make this 36 by 36. How do we go about doing that? Well, we're going to scale what we see here. So I'm going to just left click and drag to select everything. And I'm going to go to my scale button down here, and I'm just going to left click for the scale 3D. And it asks me for an origin point, so I'm just going to snap to the end right there. And we've already seen how to scale things dynamically by just clicking and dragging things, but that's pretty inexact. And what we're actually looking for is we want to scale by this known dimension. I think we said 36 inches. Let's say it's 36 inches. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to just show you, we're going to use a calculator in our computer. So if we go to Start, and you guys probably have XP systems, so it might look a little bit different, but you're basically going to go to All Programs and then Accessories, and there's a calculator within that area. So if you just click on that, it gives us a calculator. And the way that you figure out how to get to your final dimension is to start off with what we want in our calculator. Let's say we want 36 inches, and we're going to divide that by what we have, which in this case is 3 inches. So I'm going to type 3 and equals 12. So I need to basically multiply the scale by 12. I need to increase it 12 times in order to get this 3 to be 36. If you are dealing with decimal numbers, it might be a lot easier to just place your cursor in the calculator window. You won't see the cursor flash, but it's there, and you're going to just hit Control C to copy. And now at the very top of Rhino's command prompt, it's asking us for a scale factor. We're just going to copy Control V to paste. And that just told it I wanted 12. You can see the number 12 up there. You could just type 12 and press enter. And that's it. We're done. So now we have something that's 36 across. And everything is hunky-dory. I'm going to just get rid of, well, actually, I'll leave the dimensions. I guess I don't need to get rid of them. I'm going to just maximize my perspective view, pull out a little bit, and so this thing has grown now, obviously. I'm going to go into a shaded mode, and we're going to just select everything and drag it away from the origin a little bit. And we're going to make a copy of this. So Control C, Control V, and it's pasted it, and you see it sort of flash. And now, while we still have this whole thing selected, I'm just going to click on it and drag, just like that. And you can get rid of your dimensions for this copy if you want. And now what we're going to do is run something called contour. So if you go up to your command prompt and type contour, press enter, it asks me to select the objects for contours. And I'm going to just select my terrain and press enter, and now it's asking me for a contour base or contour plane base point. And what this is it's asking me for a reference point, and it doesn't really matter if it's on the model or off, so I'm just going to do it down below here. For instance, I'm just going to click for my first point. The second point is going to give this command a direction, and this is pretty critical. So I'll just show you what happens if I were to, let's say, go in this direction like this. And again, I'm just hitting my shift key so that it's constrained to 90 degrees. So I'm just going to left click a second time, and now it's asking me for the distance between the contours. What is the distance right now? Well, each one of these squares represents 1 unit. So if I leave this value at 5 for now, the contours are going to be 5 units, spaced 5 units across, 5 inches essentially, and that's fine. So I'm just going to hit enter again, and there are my contours. These are separate lines, separate from the surface itself, and I'm going to undo that. And obviously you could do this differently as well. You could run it so that it was at a diagonal if you wanted. You could do it in a number of different ways, or top to bottom, but we're going to keep it simple, and I'm just going to have this go across like this. So now we have our contours. I'm going to just select the surface itself and delete it. We don't need that anymore. And now what I'm going to do is create surfaces that encompass each one of these lines. So if I go to Surface and then Planar Curves right here, select the Planar Curves to build surface, I'm just going to left click and select all these curves like that and press enter. And there I now have surfaces that are created using those curves. One final thing that we want to do in this tutorial is create some labels. And we're going to do that by running a command called dot. So at the command prompt you're going to type dot, press enter, and it asks me for the text to display. I'm going to just type 1 for my first dot, and right click to accept that. And the location of the dot, I'm going to tag it right at the bottom. And I just do that by left clicking. So it's placed that first dot. And I'm going to rerun this command by just right clicking and typing my next number, 2, right clicking, and the location of that next dot, etc., etc. So I'm going to do this for all these surfaces, and I'll see you at the next video.